to Ji-hoo, Jandi was able to meet Joon-pyo. However, because of threats from his mother, Joon-pyo is forced to pretend that he was never serious about his relationship with Jandi. In fact, he really missed Jandi. After that, they separated. Joon-pyo is very annoyed at his mother, but he is powerless to fight because he feels he has to be responsible as an heir to a large company. Let's return to the story of Jandi and Ji-hoo. That morning after parting ways with Joon-pyo, Jandi cried in a boat accompanied by a singing gondolier. Who knows if Ji-hoo keeps an eye on Jandi? But somehow Ji-hoo comes and comforts Jandi. That morning he bought Jandi ice cream and took her out for a day out. Arriving at a shoe store, he and Joon-pyo see Jandi likes a shoe. However, because the shoes were very expensive, Jandi did not buy them. Shortly, Lee-jong and Woo-bin have returned to Seoul. And when Jandi and Ji-hoo were also leaving, they suddenly met Ji-hoo's old friend named Ming. Ming invites them to stay at his house. Apparently Ming really idolizes Ji-hoo. He can immediately know that Ji-hoo loves Jandi. He said this to Ji-hoo. Ji-hoo always smiles whenever he sees Jandi. This is the same as when Ji-hoo used to love Se-hyun. Apart from that, Ji-hoo always comforted Jandi whenever Jandi was sad, such as always accompanying her and taking her on trips. When the two of them were traveling in Macau, Jandi's wallet was left in a cake shop. Meanwhile, Ji-hoo's wallet is left at Ming's house. Finally, Ji-hoo was forced to do a small roadside performance by singing to get paid. He borrowed a guitar from a street musician and sang a song. Maybe if some of you don't know the title of the song he sings in this scene, the title of the song is Waiting by Panic. As we know, this song is definitely aimed at Jandi. Jandi was pleasantly surprised to see Ji-hoo sing, even though she didn't know it was being sung for her. Speaking of this scene, who would have thought from this scene that Jandi could end up dating Ji-hoo at that time? How could it not be? After returning from the sweet and romantic show, Jandi's high heels broke and Ji-hoo carried Jandi on his back to Ming's house. He also thanked Jandi because this was the first time Ji-hoo earned money on his own. On the other hand, it seems that Joon-pyo saw them. This made him very depressed. He was faced with two difficult choices. Choose his father's company or choose his love. Meanwhile, the relationship between Jandi and Ji-hoo does not only show sweet and warm things, but also the human side as ordinary people. On the early morning when Jandi was in the toilet and she was still very sleepy, she forgot to lock the toilet. Accidentally, Ji-hoo opens the toilet, but realizes Jandi is in the toilet. He rushes to close it again and apologizes. He thought the toilet was empty because the door was unlocked. Finally, because she was too ashamed of Ji-hoo, Jandi locked herself in her room all day. When everyone had left, she headed for the dining table. How romantic it was! She saw a message from Ji-hoo written on a small piece of paper. Then, this made Jandi smile and get excited again. Shortly, they were finally at the airport to return to Seoul. When Jandi looked at the necklace from Joon-pyo, Ji-hoo put on the shoes that Jandi wanted a few days ago. He's saying that this is the first time he has bought a gift for someone with his own money. Jandi was devastated. But suddenly Joon-pyo comes. Ji-hoo pushes him away in anger. Joon-pyo acts casually to Jandi. Ji-hoo had said that he let Jandi go out with Joon-pyo because Joon-pyo was Ji-hoo's best friend, but realizing that Joon-pyo had gone too far with Jandi, he would not stay silent. Ji-hoo gets angry and hits Joon-pyo. Luckily, Jandi broke them down and gave Joon-pyo a chance to talk. After waiting for a while, Joon-pyo just looked at Jandi and was speechless. Jandi also decides to go with Ji-hoo. Watching them leave, Joon-pyo cries and is comforted by his secretary. Apparently, Joon-pyo intends to give shoes to Jandi. He also bought Jandi the same shoes as JiHoo's. After parting ways with Joon-pyo, they are arriving in Korea. Then, Jandi is initially distraught, but she becomes energized after helping a mother give birth at JiHoo's grandfather's clinic. She told Ji-hoo that her dream is to become a doctor. A few days later, it seems that Joon-pyo has returned to Korea. Even his mother deliberately invites Jandi to come to Joon-pyo's birthday party. Yes, that's right. You heard right. Joon Pyo's mother does invite Jandi to her son's birthday party. But this is not to bless Jandi and Joon Pyo's relationship. Rather, it shows that Jandi's status is very different from his son. Also, Joon Pyo's mother invites Jandi on purpose because at Joon Pyo's birthday party, she announces her son's engagement to a girl from a rich family. Her name is Ha Jae-kyung.
Of course, this really surprised everyone. JiHoo is no exception. Maybe he was the second most surprised person after Jandi. He was really worried about Jandi's feelings right now. He brought Jandi home. While in the car, he tries to convince Jandi that Joon Pyo might not even know about this arranged marriage. At first, he wanted to express his feelings for Jandi, but he didn't do that because Jandi's so sad. Without Jandi realized, she left a present behind for Joon Pyo in JiHoo's car. As JiHoo thought, Joon Pyo came to his house. Joon Pyo really didn't know anything about his arranged marriage with Ha Jae-kyung. The next day, Jandi meets Jae-kyung and Joon Pyo at school. She tries to avoid them by going with JiHoo. Shortly, the other day, due to some circumstances, Jandi had to ask Joon Pyo to watch over Jae-yul, her closest friend who was dating Lee-jong. But again, they were caught by Joon Pyo's mother. Joon Pyo's mother mocked Jandi. While Joon Pyo could not do anything because he was taken forced by 2 bodyguards of his mother. He could only send an SMS asking JiHoo for help to pick up Jandi. And Jandi's hero, JiHoo Sunday, always comes at the right time. In this time, another problem came to Jandi. She had to replace her sick mother's job as a clinical service at JiHoo's foundation. For the umpteenth time, JiHoo helps Jandi. But when the work was done, Jandi fainted from exhaustion. JiHoo takes care of Jandi at his house. Feeling sympathy for Jandi, he kissed Jandi's hand. However, Joon Pyo sees it. He went and cried in the car. At school, when Jandi saw Joon Pyo and Jae-kyung, JiHoo immediately hugged Jandi because he didn't want Jandi to get hurt. But it still makes Jandi hurt. To entertain Jandi, JiHoo invites Jandi to see the sunset and treats Jandi to a meal. But unfortunately, they even met Joon Pyo and Jae-kyung at the restaurant. Jae-kyung, who doesn't understand anything, thinks that JiHoo is Jandi's boyfriend. She also invites them to go on a double date at her family's private resort. Wow, maybe this is the advantage of having a rich friend. Do you also think so? Sorry, just kidding. Let's get back to the story. Finally, they end up going on a double date. However, here JiHoo is really worried about Jandi. He was very afraid that Jandi would get hurt seeing Joon Pyo and Jae-kyung together. After dinner, Jandi sat relaxing by the pool. She almost drowned when she took the necklace from Joon Pyo and fell into the pool. Wait a minute, for those of you who are confused. Here's the story. Jandi can no longer swim due to a shoulder injury because she was hit by a chair when helping Joon Pyo. Well, again Jandi drowned when looking for her necklace. Luckily, Joon Pyo came to help her. JiHoo and Jae-kyung were surprised to see them. JiHoo takes the initiative to take Jandi away. Unknowingly, Jandi's necklace was left behind and Jae-kyung took it.